And if I press that button, I think we are live. I think we're live. Good evening, everybody who's watching, and welcome to the last video before I head off to Essen Spiel at 8:30 tomorrow morning. We're going to talk about some games. We're not going to talk about all of the games because we would be here. Well, I'd probably miss Essen if we talked about all of the games. But got some special guests tonight. First of all, down in the bottom of the screen, Mr. Tom Heath from Slickerdrips.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Now, you've already done your own top 10 or just how many?
Top 10. There's probably about 100, but there's a top 10 bit. I did the top 10 first, so you can, if you just want to speed through that and clear off, I don't blame you.
Okay. So if you're interested in Tom's own video, go and check out on the Slickerdrips YouTube channel. He's done his own top X games.
Yes.
Also joining me,
10 plus 100.
Adrian and JP from two members of the. How many people are on the team now?
9.
9. 2 of the 9 ain't bad.
You got the main ones.
You
got the main.
Don't say that. Davey was going to join us as well tonight. We were actually originally 8 people for this stream, and I was having concerns that 8 people on a live stream, it was just going to be absolute chaos. Mike Dennis sends his apologies. Last minute change of travel plans. He's actually on a train right now on the way to London. Mark Dainty was also going to be joining us. He's also on a train coming back from London. Joel Wright was going to be joining us tonight. Joel's not able to join us. And Davey, also from the Whose Turn Is It Anyway podcast, Davey was going to be joining us to start as well. So we've got the 4 of us. And yeah, we're going to be talking about some of the games that are coming out at Essen that we're looking forward to. Now, people like myself and Tom, we are lucky in that we are content creators. And some of the publishers have sent us games in advance. So one of the ones that we're definitely going to be talking about tonight, I've already played 10 times, but I'm going to try and do this from the perspective of as if you haven't played any of these new games that are coming out at Essen Spiel. And some of them have been released, like Shackleton Base, for example, actually got released this week in the UK. But for most people, Essen is going to be the main release for these games. Now, we're going to be here for about an hour to an hour and a half tonight, probably an hour and a half. So because we didn't really know how many people were going to be on the stream tonight, and also we don't know how long we're going to be talking about the games, instead of building up and doing our own top 5s and going from 5 to 1, we're going to start from the top down, and we'll just see how far we get. Now, I'm going to try and take on the role of host rather than giving my own list, and then at the end, if you guys haven't mentioned some of the ones which I would have mentioned, I'll then chip in with them. But since Adrian is at the top of my screen right underneath me, what is your number 1 game that you're most excited to see at Essen this year?
Oh, this is a lot of pressure. I think for me the top one to look out for is Daoshi. So Devere, Danny Garcia, both of whom have done stellar things. I've been really happy with games of theirs I've played in the past. And the idea of having either production phase or a phase where you send someone to a district and then that unlocks worker placement spaces in that section, and having like having to replenish the forest. It's all sort of steampunk. It's in the Silk universe or the Sand universe or whatever you want to call it. And the idea of having to replenish the forest, otherwise, I think it's sprites, but the idea that you have to have this ongoing ecosystem of forest available to sort of fuel the steampunk world, all seemed good stuff to me. I did try to pre-order it, and it's already out on pre-order, as in you cannot get it for pre-order. So I shall be running to the Devere stand first thing Thursday to try and nab myself a copy of that.
So you're not saying it's sold out, it's just they've stopped taking pre-orders?
That's the one, and they've said there will be games there on the days to pick up. I don't know which days or how many they've got, but they've said there will be some at the stand. So yeah, so that is my beeline number 1 that I have to get to Thursday morning before anything else happens. So yeah, that's my number 1.
I've not played this yet, and I know less about it than you do. But what I can tell you is it's Devere, it's Danny Garcia, and it was on one of the emails that I sent to say, please can I have a copy of this game? Now, Devere they've got Thames and Cosmos UK that kind of do all of their UK stuff. So whenever I actually ask Devere for something, Devere just point me to Thames Cosmos UK. At the point now, I contact both of them at the same time. And I've had an email from Nikki at Thames and Cosmos UK to say Daoshi will be sent to me probably after the show. And I think she said that it will be there in time for GridCon. which is good.
Nice.
So anybody coming to GridCon, there should be a copy there. Well, if Adrian manages to get hold of a copy, there will be a copy there. So
If not, I'll have to sign a copy out from the GridCon library.
you might have to. Okay, so yeah, JP, your number
Yeah,
one.
I mean, are we talking about games that are being released or games that are being shown?
We're talking about games that are being released, games that people can, unless they sell out, be able to actually purchase at Essen.
Okay, that's fine. That changes the order a little bit. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm going to get it right off the gate. It's the game you've been playing 10 plus times. It's Civolution.
Yeah.
Like, for me, very fortunate to play a game at UK Games Expo with yourself, and just loved it. Absolutely loved it, and I just want to kind of play a bit more. But yeah, for those that haven't heard of it, which probably most people have by now, it's Stefan Feld design, and not quite sure what the theme is. Are we all like ethereal beings that are kind of running a simulation of a civilization?
Yeah.
And
I just realised,
like a
sorry to
sandbox.
interrupt you, but I realised that I've actually got the BGG screen up. And one of the things that I should be doing is I should be punching
Going.
up the game as we're
Before
talking.
Civolution.
start talking about Dungeons of Doria.
Yeah. So
The whole time and then mentioned it.
you keep talking, and I'll start
Yeah.
showing this on screen.
Yeah, so what I really enjoyed about it is the sandbox nature of it. So it's kind of like, there it is, off you go, do what you want. You know, if you want to kind of go down this road and get loads of people to kind of traverse the lands, off you go. If you want to do something else, off you go. And you can kind of create your own society of different weird, like kind of mutant kind of people, which, you know, I remember the game I had, we had like people with beaks and tails and all sorts of stuff going on. It's wonderfully weird, but I really dug it. It's really good fun. So I think that for me is probably going to be a top one that we'll get. I think Davey's after it as well, so it's probably going to be his number one. So I might just let him buy it.
Yeah.
That's fine. Saves my money.
I mean, this is, at the moment, this is my number 2 favourite game of the whole year. But my little bird told me that Galactic Cruise might not be released this year. And if Galactic Cruise doesn't actually come out until 2025, then this is my favourite game of this year. I just love it, and it's fun to play. It's so enjoyable to play. It is a civilization game, and the world is open to you. You've just got, I should say, you've got so many different things that you can do. It uses a dice selection, a dice action mechanism very similar to Castles of Burgundy, but instead of requiring one dice to do an action, you actually need 2 dice. So to procreate, and this is a lesson in procreation for anybody who wants it, what you do is you get a 5 and a 2, and you put them on a space, and you have a baby. That's how procreation works. But you can manipulate the dice in a very similar way to what you do with Castles of Burgundy. But it's, I'm just loving it to the point where on Friday night we finished the game of Shackleton Base, which is a brain fryer, and then I went downstairs and went, anybody fancy a game of Civolution? And they were like, serious? And I was like, yeah, because I want to play it, and then regretted it the next day when I got hardly any sleep. But you know, that's I can't get enough of the game. I just really like it.
Yeah.
So
Very unique for me. Like, I can't think of anything that's like it. I know there's some mechanisms that are kind of borrowed from other games, but just the feel of it's very different. So it's all good.
Yeah. Okay, Tom,
Hello.
you're number one.
Well, it's going to be Civolution. So
okay.
We'll slip down the list.
Okay, number
to 2. Black Forest. Uwe
We're just going back to
Rosenberg.
Civolution a minute. Have you played it yet?
Yes, I played it with you.
When? Oh, yes.
When we came down. Yeah, Rach, my wife. And
my memory's not what it used to be.
I played it with you.
That
Who's this
memorable
Tonga?
game that you had.
I think he beat me, which means I kind of, put it out of my memory.
No.
Yeah, we had like it was like you taught us the basics and then we played it like straight on stream because we didn't have much time to do it.
Yeah.
So but even with that, I was saying, I think in my stream that you get the idea pretty quickly for something with so many options and so many cards and symbols and moving parts. You get the sense of what you're doing pretty easily. Like, it looks intimidating with all of the references and symbols and things at the start, but it's actually surprisingly smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you first see that player board, you're like, what is this?
Yeah.
And I love
This huge grid
that
of
draws me in.
actions is just tiles that are going to change. But yes, it was
Right.
very good, and I'm very
So
excited.
Tom's number
about
2.
it. Black Forest. Uwe
Right.
Rosenberg does a big farming game again, but with
Hot news.
Tito Lorenz. Make sure I get Tito Lorenz.
Tito
is
Lorenz.
the co-designer, and so the amazing resource wheel from Glass Road and Oranienburger Canal now goes into a much bigger game. Like throw away all of the card selection and stuff from Glass Road and put in a great big board and some. I think you're traveling around a board that's got sets of buildings in it, and you're picking a selection from those buildings that are available in there, and doing some Glass Roady things, but mainly like a whole new big game around it. I'm always pretty excited when Uwe Rosenberg comes out with a new big game, but there's a blocking thing for 2 players I'm not into already, and that can get lost.
So have you looked at the rules and you think, we can just get rid of that?
Yeah, I'll just not do that. It'll just seem looser. We're not going to play where if the whole thing is in there, and it's only like a tiny little thing.
Yeah.
For 2 players, when you do a certain action, you'll be told to move a neutral pawn to a place, and it's going to cost another player something. So like the only way to play is to put it where you think that person's going to put it.
Oh, okay,
which is
right.
Like, I'm not interested in thinking like that. But everything else, that's not an issue for any other part of the game. It's strange.
Yeah. So I've played this game. I've played it, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times now, and I've done a live stream of this. I talked about it in my vlog that just went live. What day is it today? Monday? Yesterday. My vlog went live yesterday. And the story that I said about this is that when it was a sponsored video that I did, Fuel on Spiel were happy to sponsor the playthrough. And my pricing scheme for my sponsored playthroughs are directly proportional to how long the video is. And that's generally speaking, because if it's a longer game, it takes me more time to prepare and everything else. So I priced it up based on the fact that this is the new big Uwe Rosenberg farming game, and I priced it up on like a 3-hour playthrough. It's like a 90-minute game. So I went back to them last week and I said, we agreed this much money. I said, well, I'm not going to charge you that. I'm going to charge you this instead. And they were like, and I said, are you okay with that? And they were like, you're asking us if you're okay with you charging us less than what we agreed. And I'm like, well, yeah. So, but the reason I'm telling you that story is I went into this game thinking, right, here we go. It's another Feast for Odin. It's another big Uwe game. And then actually it's a 10 minutes each, because the rules of this game are so streamlined. You move across the board, which costs you provisions. And if there's somebody else there, you have to give them something. And then you do one of the actions where you are, or you complete a job, right? That's basically it. And where the depth comes in the game is the different buildings. There's loads of different buildings that you can build. And one of the actions is you construct one of the buildings. And at that point, you're like, oh, okay, which strategy we're going to go with here. But JP and Adrian, have you ever played Glass Road?
Yes.
Yeah, I used to have it.
And did you like the card play mechanism in Glass Road?
I didn't hate it.
Okay.
But for me, compared to other Uwe games, it didn't feel like... Basically, it's not in my collection anymore.
Right.
It just didn't feel like it had the same feeling as the others, i.e. Feast for Odin and Agricola and all the other kind of ones that have that very similar feeling. So the fact that this has been re-implemented into Uwe's probably original design, so I hear. And yeah, I'm all over it, because the resource wheels, like, no problem, love those.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, that sold it.
Like,
that was the big
definitely.
point, wasn't it? For that was the puzzle in it, was that wheel. So the fact that
and Glass Road left me wanting more. Like, the game would finish and you go, oh, is that it?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, so I'm hoping with this, even if it's a 90-minute experience, that's great. That's perfect. So yeah, I'm intrigued to try it.
I think some people might be wanting more out of this game, because, as I say, it is a fairly short compared to some of his other games, and it is quite streamlined. Tom, where do you sit on the Glass Road card system?
I love Glass Road.
Okay.
But the main thing that I've played is the 2-player mode of practically everything, but which changes I can't remember quite how, but there's less opportunity as well with more players. It's like you take some cards into a round with you, and you only get a certain number you can play. And if somebody else plays a card, though, you can play yours for free. So with more players, I think there's more opportunities for that. It's a bit, it's a bit of a different system for 2 players. But I love that, and I think even though it's shorter, it's like 40 minutes or something. Glass Road. That's a real strength of Glass Road, that there's so much to think about, but it's so quick.
Yeah.
And a similar thing with, you don't really have to learn that many things. There's a lot of different cards that do similar things, but you get to grips with the game really quickly.
Yeah. I was not a fan of the card play mechanism in Glass Road, and Glass Road is one of the few games that has actually left my collection. Getting rid of an Uwe Rosenberg game made me feel morally wrong, but I did, because I just didn't like the card play mechanism. So I spoke to the publisher about this game when it came out, and they basically said, "Yeah, Paul, you're not the only one. Lots and lots of people really disliked the card play mechanism in Glass Road." At which point you've got Black Forest. But if you like the card play mechanism in Glass Road, play Glass Road. So essentially, there's now 2 games with the same theme and the same resource wheel mechanism. There's Glass Road if you want to play with the cards, and there's Black Forest if you don't want to play with the cards. They are not, as far as I'm concerned, this is Glass Road 2.0. But that's not fair to Glass Road, which is still a perfectly solid game and it works really well, if you don't mind the card play in it. There you go. Right.
Yeah.
So, Adrian, you're number 2. I'll just chime in randomly with various comments here and there.
Yeah, no, go for it. So I don't imagine this is probably number 2 on a lot of people's lists, but it's rather than sort of doing a big spiel, it's Castle Combo. So my big takeaway last year, and the game that I showed to everyone, and it's a bit Marmite, but a lot of people seem to love it, was Far Away from Catch Up Games. Little box, easy to put in a bag, thinky little puzzle. Castle Combo, I'm not quite sure that it's as thinky, but I do think it's more accessible to a lot of people. You're building a 3x3 grid. Standard thing of you pay a few coins for a card in the row that you want, and you put them into your 3x3 grid so that they're adjacent to other cards. They'll give you an instant bonus and then an end of game scoring, depending upon the cards around it or the cards in the display or something like that. And I think it's going to do what a lot of people like from those sort of Tableau builders, those kind of, like Earth and stuff like that, where you're looking for adjacencies in Tableau. I think it's going to do that just nice and quick, and in a little box. So yeah, so I've already pre-ordered this one. I'll be picking it up as soon as I can. But yeah, that's my number 2 is Castle Combo.
Okay, and you were made aware of this game because of Far Away?
Yep. So I actually I wasn't going to talk about, but there is a tiny little expansion for Far Away that I pre-ordered, and then I saw Castle Combo, and sort of something stuck in my mind, and then I went and did a bit of research, and there's a few other YouTubers out there talking about it, saying sort of they've enjoyed their playthroughs and stuff. So I was like, you know what, I really enjoyed Far Away. I think this has got a slightly different puzzle to it. I say perhaps a bit of an easier puzzle to get your head into on the first game, but it's going to give you quite a rewarding experience all the same. And just thought that looks like it's going to be a fun one to put in along with Far Away in the bag when you go on holiday or on a trip or something, or just a games night. Yeah. So yeah, I thought that looked good and thought I'll put that on the pre-order list as well with it. And then I continued to watch the rest of the playthrough that I'd paused halfway through to finish my pre-order, and thought, yeah, I've definitely made a good choice there. I think that's going to be a good game that I'm going to enjoy.
So certainly same publisher, but is it the same designer?
It is not.
It is not. So I've not played Far Away yet, but lots and lots of people were saying how great it was, and it is just one of those things that I've not got round to trying. Graham is in the chat. He says that Castle Combo has recently launched on Board Game Arena. So if anybody wants to try it beforehand, we won't get a chance before we go to Essen, but
no.
But I think Far Away's on BGA
at the moment already. Sorry.
Out for sale.
Castle Combo's, I think, already for sale. I think it came out last week for sale. But by that point, I put in the pre-order, and I thought, well, I'm not going to buy it twice, so I'll just pick it up at Essen on the pre-order.
Right. Cool. No, I mean, you've mentioned it. I've heard a number of other people mentioning it as well, and I'm like, Castle Combo, never heard of it. And then I did take a quick look at it and went, same publisher as Far Away. So yeah, I think it's going to be quite popular. Right, so. JP, you're number 2.
Yeah, number 2. I don't actually know loads about this game. but it's space. And
Space.
I like space stuff.
Okay. Space the game.
And it's Space the game coming out in 2024.
There is a game called Space from 2009.
I'm sure there is. Yeah, it's not that one. No, it's Seti.
No. Seti.
Seti. Yeah, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. So I saw this at Expo when I did the preview day, the press day. Walked past and I went, "Ooh, that looks cool." And so it's got that kind of those discs that kind of swivel around. It just looks really inviting. The board looks really interesting, and as a theme, I love all of that. Kind of solar system, and the whole premise of it is just right up my street. So thematically, I'm already in.
Yeah.
But I haven't played it. I haven't really seen the mechanics of it that much, and I still have your video to watch because I know you covered this, right? Yeah, it's on my watch later list, which I'll probably do on the way to Essen. But yeah, it's the fact that you get cards, you're analysing, incoming transmissions, you're upgrading different things, and yeah, I'm in. Like, it just looks really, really good fun. So maybe you can tell me a little bit more about it, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the designer of the game has got some kind of chip implanted in his head that if there's ever a live stream where anybody mentions his game, he gets alerted because he's just popped into the chat to say hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've played it. I've done a live stream of it. CGE have been very kind enough to basically give me a copy of the game to give away. I did the draw this morning, so you can no longer enter that contest. Same as you, I saw it at UK Games Expo. Visually, it was stunning. They've done a really good job with just the overall look and feel of the game, both from a colour palette point of view, but also the way the solar system turns in the middle, which I'm going to say is not a gimmick. Some people are calling it a gimmick, like they call the Zolkin gears a gimmick. For me, a gimmick is something that you don't need in the game. It's kind of like an optional extra that's just a bit fancy, but you don't need it.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would do what this game does without these 3 discs that spin in the middle. So for me, it's not a gimmick. It's essential part of the game. And yeah, the people who got to try it, and bearing in mind, I'm friends with a lot of people who actually work on the CGE demo team, so they were telling me about it as well. But they were all like, "Yeah, this game's really good. This would probably be their biggest hit since Lotterings of Arnak. Kutna Horror was good last year, but people have said that this one is just fantastic." So I played it a few weeks ago, and all I knew going into it is that the designer is got a big interest in astronomy, and I like my realistic sci-fi games. So I like sci-fi as a theme, but any game which has got some kind of grounding in actual realistic, physics and astronomy and things like that, that ticks some more of my boxes. Because back when I was a teenager or whatever, I was really into astronomy. I actually did astrophysics at university, so I've again predisposed to liking that particular kind of setting. And the fact that you're on Earth and you're taking, you're sending radio messages out, you're analyzing data that's coming from the far reaches of the solar system, you're analyzing that data, and you're sending probes round, and you can put something in orbit of Jupiter and things like that. I was like, oh yeah, this is nice. And then I got to play it, and I was like, yeah, I can see why everybody is saying how good this game was. This is quite high on a lot of people's lists, and quite rightly so. It's very good.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to trying it.
Tom, what do you think about Seti? Have you looked into it at all?
Yeah, I'm very excited. I had a quick run through of it at the expo.
Yeah.
Met with CG as well. Loved the idea of it. Loved I don't know what a good term for it is, because it's not, like I say, it's not a gimmick. It's not like, it's like it's another not good term for it, but like the toy element of like the Zolkin wheel. It's a nice thing to play with, like a tactile thing, I guess.
Yes,
but everything about board games is a tactile thing.
Yeah.
It's extra tactile. But yeah, I really like it. And well, I like the idea of it. I haven't played it yet. But obligatory mention when any of the games is mentioned that Thomas has got like 2 more games coming out at Essen. And Galileo, you've played it as well, Paul.
Which I have, Yep, you've covered that.
Yep. Really enjoyed that, and I haven't played Tea Garden yet, but it sounds very cool. Anything that's
Yes.
using tea as a currency, I'm up for.
Yeah, I'm getting a copy of Tea Garden as well. Again, I haven't played it, but I've heard really good things about that. So this is the new designer. I'll say come from nowhere. Of course, no designer comes from nowhere. Thomas has probably been, designing games for a long time, but he's not just had one of his games picked up. He's had 3 of his games picked up, and all of them are getting really good reports and reviews. But I think Seti's going to be the big one. It's certainly the heavier of the games. I've not played Tea Garden yet. Galileo Galilei is like I'm going to say medium weight. It's kind of on the slightly lighter end of medium, but a game of that will take about 90 minutes, whereas Seti is on the heavier end of medium, possibly even touching on the heavy slightly. And your first game is going to be about 3 hours, I would have thought. But yeah, it was very good. Adrian, any thoughts on Seti?
No, the board, again, like JP, we were kind of going around the UK Games Expo, and that board looked amazing. It looked a little bit much for some of my tastes, but I do really want to give it a go all the same, because sometimes the board just looks busy, but actually the puzzle is sort of nice and simple or whatever. It just needs the icons there. So I really do want to give this one a go. So I'm hoping that JP picks it up at some point, because I think that'll be worth. Yeah.
Well, not only will this be in the library at GridCon, this will be in the Hot Games library at GridCon. So this will be permanently set up on one of the tables at GridCon, and I expect it to be played constantly. So
worn out by the end of GridCon.
It will be worn out. Yeah. And what CG have done, if you remember Kutner Horror last year, they did this new type of game component which was made of rewood, which is recycled wood, but they were able to mold it that it actually looked really good. The quality of the molding was like, we had to have plastic pieces for this. Well, some of the pieces in Seti are replastic. So the company that did rewood has now done replastic. So there is, I think the sun in the middle of the board, that isn't rewood, that is plastic, but it's replastic. So it's recycled plastic. Yeah.
It's a nice touch.
Right, cool. Where are we up to? It's Tom's number.
Tom's go.
Whatever's next on your list, Tom. Whichever number it is.
Seti was number 3.
Seti was number 3, right?
Skipping down. Oh yeah. I'll be surprised if anyone. I'll be pleasantly surprised if anyone else has got this on their list.
Okay.
Until Proven Guilty, the Starry Sky Necklace.
Is that the name of the game?
No.
Yes. I think. Well, it's like Until Proven Guilty and then subtitle.
I've never heard of this whatsoever. Right. Tell us about it.
Intrigued.
Do you like Phoenix Wright, the video game?
Never heard of it.
No.
The lawyer.
Yes, it's a series of video games where you play as a rookie lawyer and you do a bit of investigation, but mainly you're in the courtroom, being you're the defense lawyer, so you're arguing with the prosecutor, making people contradict, shouting objection and stuff.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Check it out. It's all on every platform now. But this looks like a very, very heavily influenced, like a murder mystery. Well, it's not really murder mystery, is it? Because you're in the courtroom in this card game, and by the art and stuff, it feels like they're leaning into that influence quite a bit. But yeah, rather than investigating like out in the field as a policeman or something, you're now trying to win this court case and you're questioning witnesses and things like that, all in a card game. I think it's from DV Games.
Goshi. Yeah.
And I don't know, I imagine a lot of more information than that is going to be secret, because it's probably going to be a one and done thing, I imagine. But it's got like little conversation bits on the cards.
Yeah.
That you, like, if you question the witnesses in a wrong way, you'll lose the trial or lose the witness or something. I really like the sound of it. But
so
it might
be. How did you find
like,
out about this game?
By looking at 1,200 games in a great big list.
Right. So you scrolled down the list, because I did that this morning. I scrolled down the entire list of 1,216 games. And what was it that was it like the artwork?
I feel like it's been mentioned before. I don't know where though, because it wouldn't have been at the expo. But yeah, the artwork is that's a very Phoenix Wright thing. That's pointing and windswept. Like the characters look very legally distinct.
Okay.
But yeah, that's I'd know that point anywhere.
And it even says it's a narrative cooperative game inspired by court-themed visual novels, television series, and video games.
Yeah.
So they're not hiding behind the fact that, they've been inspired by a...
Yeah, Phoenix Wright is a visual novel video game, and there is a
Right.
TV series based on it. So
Okay.
that could just be...
Wow.
It's based on Phoenix Wright, guys.
The big question is, can you make a pirate killer whale take the stand as you defend them, or... That's one of the Phoenix Wright ones, is making a killer... Yeah, there's a killer whale who's standing for court for some reason.
I never played it, but it always looked interesting. Like as a theme of a game. I thought, I think really would I enjoy it, but I know as soon as I played it, I would love it.
It's very, very, very good.
Okay.
I still recommend it.
Right. I mean, you've got me interested in this game, Tom.
Yeah.
And I would have just ignored this one and scrolled past it because it's cooperative. Like cooperative games, one of the main pictures looks like Guess Who. I guess I don't think it's Guess Who, but I can just imagine. Do you have a beard? No. Clock, clock, clock.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
Oh, it looks actually like it's the jury that you're turning around it.
Yeah.
Like that are on your side or not, which I think ends up being a thing in later Phoenix Wright games.
Okay. Cool. Well, for anybody watching the stream live, how many people have heard of this game, or is this one that has it's good that we've got some things that are not like the big games that everybody else is talking about. So right,
although after Essen, everyone's going to be talking about it.
Everybody's going to talk about it now. Right, back to Adrian.
Yeah, this is not a secret. I'll be honest, I think everyone's heard of this one. So it's and I'll probably butcher the name. I'm going to call it Minos, Dawn of the Bronze Age.
Sure.
That's good to me.
Minos or Minos, who knows?
Who knows? So this was kind of on my radar, and then Paul handed me the box to hand to one of my counterparts to learn the game, and I might have had a sneaky flick through the box and a bit of the rule book just to kind of see what was going on, and shot up the list quite drastically at that point. So dice drafting, tableau building. You might find a bit of a theme with my list over tableau building. I'm enjoying that mechanic at the moment. So yeah, dice drafting, tableau building. Area majority is not always my thing, but the designer Stan, I'm going to say Kodonsky, at the risk of butchering his surname, apologies, has done Dice Hospital and Rurik. So I enjoyed well, right? I enjoyed what they did, and Endless Winter, but I haven't played Endless Winter, so I know that went down well with our group, but it wasn't one I played. And I liked the way they did area majority in that, and I liked some of the bits in Dice Hospital, some of the crunchier sort of dice placement bits on that. So while I don't know if any of that has kind of translated, the fact that he's done some good things with some stuff that I'd previously not looked at, and like that, I've not really looked at this game until I got handed the box, and then thought I'll have a look at that. So the artwork and the design looks really clean, which I like. I always appreciate sort of nice whiteboard where there's not a load of art sort of cluttering it, so I always appreciate that look, but it looks clean and looks easy to understand as well, despite the fact that I think based on sort of weight and stuff like that on BGG, it's probably going to be a bit of a heftier game.
It is. Let's have a look at what the weight rating actually is, because it's 3.56.
3.56, yeah. So I think it's going to be slightly, and I tend to find that before release, quite often the weight is slightly lower than what it ends up on. I tend to find that weight creeps once it's been out, and a few more sort of the general public have tried it, if that's the right term. So yes, but this one's got me intrigued, and I don't know as much about it as I do some of the other games on my list. But you handed me that box, and I had a quick sneaky peek before I handed it on to Curly in our team, and just thought, that looks like something I'm going to enjoy.
So I've played this one 3 times. I have covered it on the channel. What I will tell you is the first time I played it was at the local club, and 3 of us sat down and we learnt how to play the game from the rulebook, and this is not a small rulebook, and we played a full game of it in 3 hours. So it's not a 3-hour game, but we were literally learning the game as we went from the rulebook, just sort of fumbling through it. And
at that weight, it's good.
Yeah, it's good. Board and Dice actually wanted me to, because I worked at their booth last year at Essen demoing Nucleum for 4 days straight. They wanted me to demo at their booth this year, but I'd already made a prior agreement to demo Galactic Cruise for Dranda Games. But this would have been the game that I would have been demoing if I was working at the Board and Dice booth, and I would have been very happy to demo this. It's a solid game, and there is a lot going on in it, but the dice drafting and the way that works is very clever, because you've got to take into account, I think it's either 3 or 4 different things when you're choosing a dice: the color of the dice, the value of the dice, where you're going to put the dice, and some other thing as well. So there's a really meaty decision point in taking that dice in the first place. And yeah, the way that works with the action selection is really nice. So I think this one's on quite a few people's lists.
Yeah, I've heard a bit of chat about it. I just hadn't really looked at it until I got handed the box, and then I thought, that looks like something I need to look more into. So yeah, but yeah, certainly a lot of people have got videos out, it seems, for it, or mentioned on lists and stuff.
Yeah, cool. JP, what's next on your list?
Yeah, next on my list is a pre-order I've got. It's the only pre-order I've got. I don't tend to go and pre-order everything before the show. I kind of like to explore and see what takes my fancy, kind of thing. But it's basically the expansion to Nucleum. It's Court of Progress. And I've had a bit of a funny journey with Nucleum. So last year, went on one of your demos. It was like, this is great. Ended up getting a copy for Essen last year. Played it a few times. Then I was kind of like, don't know if this is for me. Had a little bit of a break from it, and then replayed it again. I thought, no, this is awesome. So I kind of keep going round and round with it, really. But yeah, I'm kind of on a resurgence with Nucleum, and I'm really enjoying it at the minute. And I know I've got Australia, and then I've watched your playthrough of Court of Progress as well on your channel. So I kind of see what it does, and it adds that whole kind of politics board and just another little layer in there. Like I say, I don't think it's probably essential for Nucleum, but I'm intrigued. While I'm on this high with the game, it's like, yeah, bring it on. And yeah, I'm hoping I can. Well, I don't know if I can fit it in the box. I doubt it, but I think it's going to have to probably be a separate. It's very, that box is getting very very tight at the moment. So yeah. But looking forward to that. More Nucleum is good for me. Yeah,
my story with Nucleum is similar to yours in that you know, when it came out, I had to learn it because I was going to be demoing it Essen for 4 days. So and I had to learn it to cover it on the channel. And Nucleum is a heavy game, so I definitely got a number of plays under my belt before I covered it on the channel. And then I had to make sure I knew the game 100%, demoing it in Essen, and I loved that. And then I played it a bit after that. But then I stopped playing it. Now, unlike you, I didn't stop playing it because I was like, oh, I'm not sure if it's good or not. I stopped playing it because I'd moved on, like a lot of content creators, I'd moved on to other games. And it was only when Court of Progress was coming out, and I said to Board and Dice, you know, I'd be happy to cover this on the channel because I do like Nucleum. I think it's a good game, and I'm more than happy to cover this on the channel. And this was not a sponsored video, but I wanted to cover it anyway. So what I had to do is I had to relearn the base game the day before or a couple of days before then covering Court of Progress. And I played it again, and I was like, yeah, this is a really good game. And it came back to me, and I had this months gap before I last played it. And when playing it again, just the base game, I was like, oh yeah, this is really good. And then we learned Court of Progress, and then we played another quick game with Court of Progress, and then we did the live stream on the channel. One thing that's interesting about this, and I touched on this in the vlog, a lot of people are going to compare this to the Turmoil expansion from Terraforming Mars.
Yeah.
Because there are similarities. And some people, and I know this for a fact because they've left me comments on my video that said, because this is similar to the Turmoil expansion, and I hate the Turmoil expansion, this is a hard pass. And that, I can see why they're doing that, but it is a little bit of a shame because specifically, I remember speaking to David Turtsey about this. He said, yes, there are elements of Turmoil in this, but we've done it right. We haven't, you know, the reason why people don't like Turmoil is because of X, Y, and Z. And he said, we don't have X, Y, and Z. We've fixed all of those things. But because a lot of people were, you know, developed such a hatred for the Turmoil expansion, they've instantly turned off on this.
I'm actually more excited.
Okay.
For the leader cards that you get. You know, they're doing a little pack, aren't they?
Yeah, I've not seen it. The promo packs.
Yeah, the promo pack, but you get all of the actual characters for the experiments. So you get, you know, the banker and the whatever, and they've all got little powers on. That's what I'm really excited about.
Is that being released at Essen then?
Yeah.
Right.
I've pre-ordered those alongside. So yeah, I think because that was my kind of a problem with the game, but it kind of felt like I'm experiment A, and it's like, what's that? And it's
Patron
actually
set.
they're always, that's it, patrons, and they're all themed around certain characters. They're, then kind of thematically makes sense that the banker would be all about money, generating money and things like that. So yeah, I'm down for that.
Okay, so this is just a little pack of cards, basically, with this is your character, this is your special ability.
That's it.
Okay,
You get a one game, I think, once game ability in it, so it's nothing crazy. It's just yeah.
Where do you sit, Tom, on the Nucleum thing?
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I only played it solo. It was a bit much.
Yeah.
Like, it was a pretty hefty game as it was, and then handling
solo
an involved solo bot as well.
Yeah.
Broke me a bit.
Yeah, it's not a Paul-friendly solo mode, and I got that when I had friends of mine asking me questions about how it worked, and I'm like, I don't know, I can't help you, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
So
it's involved.
It is. And if David is watching, or if he's listening to this, it's probably a very, very good solo mode. It's just it tries to recreate what another player would do, and therefore you have this complex chain of if this then that, and if this then that, and yeah, that's a bit too much for me. I've got some friends that play Nucleum 2-player a lot, and they really like it at 2-player. I've never played it at 2-player. It's always been 3 or 4 for me, so I can't comment on the 2-player rules. I know it uses the other side of the board, so the map is tighter, but I like the interplay between the 3 and 4 players when you're collaborating on building those routes. That's really good. That's part I like.
Yeah.
So
they do say the Australia map is better for 2 players.
Right. Okay.
Because it is a more tighter experience for that reason. But
yeah,
again, I'm the same. It's usually 3 or 4.
Okay. Boogie's watching in the chat. He says my microphone is a bit low. I've just turned it up a little bit, but yes, I can adjust people's volume levels if I need to. So just let me know if anybody is too loud or too quiet. Right, what we're going to do now is we're going to take a short break from talking to you three, and we're going to get something else on the list. Let's go for Mike Dennis, who can't be with us tonight. And hello, Mike, if you are listening in on the train. But if Mike was joining us tonight, he would have said that he wanted to talk about Power Grid Outpost. So Power Grid, that game that came out in, oh God, when did it come out? 20 years ago. I was there. I was at Essen when it came out, and we were all talking about it. And Power Grid is one of those games. I've not played it in probably 10 years, but I've played it a lot. What about you three? Have you played Power Grid at all?
It looks like too much maths for me, if I'm honest. Too much like on the spot maths, and that's not. I'm good at having a feeling at what I need to do or what's going to work out. When it's like do your 6 times tables and then do your 7 times tables and add them together, I'm out, unfortunately. I like the idea of the game, just too much maths.
I used to play it with a calculator. Literally, not kidding. I used to play it with a calculator. So
scientific or classic?
Just classic. And the reason for that is the game is divided into rounds, and each round is divided into phases. Sounds like I'm doing a video. And in phase 1, you basically have to bid, and you're bidding against the other players for these power plants. And each power plant has a face value, which is the minimum bid, but then you can go above that. And then in the next phase, you have to buy fuel. And then in the next phase, you have to extend your route across the board, which costs money. So buying the fuel costs money, extending your route costs money. And basically, if you accidentally bid more in the bidding phase, then you're like, okay, I've got that power plant, great. Oh, and I can't afford the fuel, or I can't afford to buy the route that I need. So basically, you had to work backwards, and you just need to go, right, I know I'm going to need 18 for building the route. I know I'm probably going to need X amount to buy the fuel, but the fuel costs go up as supplies go down. So depending on where you are in turn order, if you're going last in turn order and suddenly all of the oil's gone, you're like, oh, what am I going to do? And you basically have to work backwards and then work out how much money you actually have for bidding. So it is that kind of game. It can be a bit mathy. But it is a classic. It has been around for 20 years. People are still playing it now. It's had dozens and dozens of map expansions. But this one is different. So this is called Power Grid Outpost, and it's thematically inspired by an old game called Outpost. which I'm now going to look up, which was from 1991. So I don't know if anybody else was gaming in 1991, but I was. And that picture that you see there, that's actually the new edition of the game. I don't know if we've actually got any images of the original version of the game from 1981, because I used to own it. So back in the early 90s, I was... Here we go. Here's a picture of the back of the box. I used to have a copy of this game somewhere, and this was a classic at the time. And the core mechanism of Outpost has actually been redone in a game called Scepter von Zavandor, which was again about 20 odd years ago. And yeah, what Friedman Freezer has done is he has taken Outpost and basically, from what I understand, merged the two games together. Now, somebody who's watching this live might correct me on that, but I've not played Power Grid in a very, very long time, and I will go out on a limb and say, whilst I respect the game and say it's a very good game, it's not a game that I would probably play again. For one of the reasons what Adrian mentioned, it is just a little bit too mathy, but this one has my interest because I liked Outpost as a core mechanism, and combining the two things together, I'm quite excited about this. As soon as I saw this was announced, I was like, I wonder why it's called Power Grid Outpost, and then I looked into it and I suddenly thought, oh. So yeah, I think this is doing something different. So I will be getting a copy of this. So if you wanted to play this at the hotel on the Thursday night or Friday night, whatever, then let me know. But you can try it at GridCon. It will be in the GridCon library. Right then, Adrian, back to you. I think it's you.
Possibly.
Yeah,
we'll go with
I
it.
think it is.
So again, this is one that was on my radar for a little while, and then I saw a couple of videos and thought, okay, fine, I'll do that. And it's my last pre-order that I'm going to mention. So it's AI 100% Human. So it's by Explorate, who did Federation, which I enjoyed the puzzle of Federation, but the layout of the board and the artwork threw me a little bit, if I'm honest. So I kind of wasn't sold on it, but I liked the puzzle and I kind of like what they were doing there. And then I saw AI 100% Human, and there's no real artwork on it. There's a few logos and sort of symbology on it. But it's a 5x3 grid where you build a tableau up.
Hey.
Here we go. And it feels like a much simpler tableau builder where things are just, again, there's a few different symbols that it might be like have 5 of these in a row, have 3 of these next to each other. Very simple sort of idea of a puzzle. I think it's a much sort of, again, sort of slim back, bit like Combo Castle, sort of nice slim back version of a tableau builder. And I think it will go down well with sort of groups who are either a bit newer to board gaming or kind of when you're a bit burnt out of those heavier Euros. I think this would be one where I could wheel this out, and I think my group might have a lot of fun with this one. So again, I've watched a couple of sort of playthroughs and discussions and stuff like that, and there's certainly a few people who seem to be rating it quite well.
Okay.
So yeah, so I'm not too sure on this one. I think it will be good, but I've pre-ordered it, and I think it's going to have a market out there, like a group that will enjoy this. And I'm hoping that'll be my group on like a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon at the end of a con when you've kind of run out of brain cells and you just need a nice puzzle that's a bit simpler.
Yeah, the weight rating is 3.0, but like you said earlier on, the game's not fully out yet. So anything like weight rating or ranking is just, it's too early to tell. But in terms of length of time, it's a 30 to 45 minute playing time, 1 to 6 players. So it's not going to be that complicated, I don't think.
And I've picked up the expansion, which has asymmetric 5x3 grids.
There's an expansion?
Powers. Yeah, they've already come out with a deluxe expansion.
Oh, right, okay.
The crowdfunding project. And I just thought, well, while I'm picking one up, I might as well pick both up. The usual gamer mindset.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just thought the idea of asymmetric, once you've played it a couple of times, adding that asymmetric player mat in would probably be quite nice. So I thought I'd just pick it all up at once.
Yeah.
And see what it's like.
Well, I'm definitely picking up 1 copy of this game. I might be picking up 2. Because I think, and I might be wrong on this, I'd need to check my list, that they have said, yes, you can have 1 copy for you, and they're going to put 1 copy into the GridCon charity raffle as well.
Nice.
Might be right, might be not. The reason why I was interested in this game is it's Explorate, and they did Federation. Now, this is different designers, so, we don't know, but it's interesting how a lot of people use designers to choose which games they're interested in, and some people use publishers and some people choose both, because ultimately it should be more the designer who has more of an influence on the game. But having worked in the industry now for, X number of years, it's not always the designer. It's quite often the developers who work for the publisher as well. So it's often a combination of things. And yeah, because Federation was such a good game, that's basically meant, let's have a look at what Explorator doing next. But yeah, we'll see. I've been happy to see that a number of people have been saying good things about this game. So yeah, we will see. We'll see. What about you, JP and Tom? What about this game?
Never heard of it.
There we go.
I had it kind of as a like on my list. It sounded like a cool tableau building drafting game, and then I watched Rado's anticipated list where he is raving about it as a replacement for Seven Wonders for him.
Oh right.
There's like an extra thing in the drafting where you can. I might be getting this wrong. You can set aside one card or something per round, so it's not like you've only got the choice of one and then you've got to pass something over. You've got more chance to build up combos, or because there's positional tableau building, I think.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, there's opportunity to do that on top of the drafting.
Okay.
That is apparently very cool. But yeah, if it's I'm going to be getting a copy now.
Right.
I'm down.
Having a go.
Right, JP, what's next on your list?
Yeah, next one on my list is a re-implementation of a game I really enjoy, which is Beyond Horizon rather than Beyond the Sun. So Beyond the Sun is kind of one of my convention games that I'll always kind of bring along because it's that short play time. There's a lot of like crunchy decisions to be made, and if you love tech trees, it's pretty much the board. I mean, Beyond the Sun for me never thematically looked like anything special, which might be quite harsh. But mechanically was. I know, but it's it is one of them. It's like when you look at it, you go, "Oh, okay, that looks interesting." But the way it uses the dice kind of as resources, and the way that tech tree kind of expands the game and changes the game every time you play it. So it's basically different worker placement spots that kind of open up as you go. It's just always interesting. So then now they've re-implemented it as a Civilization style game. And I'm intrigued. It's more of an intrigue to see whether this re-implements it for me or whether it's literally the same thing but with a Civ theme.
Well, that's the question I was going to ask you. Is this just the same game with a re-theme, or is it a different game?
I think there's different elements to it. I think maybe 80% of it's the same concept. Looking at the player boards, it looks like it's the same arrangement, with where the dice go and how they're set in columns. So I can imagine that when you do your production phase, it's, instead of ore and resources, it's probably something else. But they have like an area map. So in Beyond the Sun, you've got all of the spaceships traveling around planets, whereas this you've got hexes. And your kind of civs expanding forward and exploring. So maybe that bit, depending on how that's done, might be more interesting for me. And if that's the case, then I might be tempted. And I like both themes. I love Civ games anyway, and I love space. So we'll see. We'll see if it takes the spot.
Yeah.
But if it does, I'll pick it up.
So I spoke earlier on about how Far Away is a game which was getting a huge amount of buzz last year and lots of people were raving about it, and I've not played it.
Yeah.
Beyond the Sun came out when? 4 years ago?
4 years ago, yeah.
Right? Loads and loads of people have been telling me for the last 3 or 4 years that this game is really, really good. And it's on Board Game Arena, and I've still not played it yet. But everything about it looked like my kind of game, and it's just one of those ones that passed me by. And being in the UK, Rio Grande have a different relationship with UK content creators as a lot of other publishers do. And basically there was no chance of me ever getting a review copy of it. So it kind of just went, okay, I'll move on. And then I saw, there's a re-implementation of it with a different theme from Chronologic. And I looked at the pictures and suddenly I went, right, ding, 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 ding. This is drop a message to Chronio, and I will be picking up a copy of this game. It absolutely looks like my kind of thing. This might be my number one most anticipated game from Essen that I haven't already played.
Okay.
That's just from everything that I've heard about it. So, yeah.
The
Can't
thing
wait.
is, I've got like Beyond the Sun with its expansion, Leaders of the New Dawn, and so like it's difficult because I really enjoy that with expansion. So it's like if it's just the base, I'm like, I don't know, don't need two versions of it, do I? But we'll see.
We'll see.
Let's see what happens.
I'm
intrigued.
Tom, have you ever played Beyond the Sun?
Yes, I've done a playthrough for it.
Right.
You can see a 2-player game of it in action because there isn't solo mode.
Am I right?
It's very good.
Yeah.
I hadn't played Beyond the Sun when I played this, so this is my first introduction to it. And so it's a bit. I have now played it on Board Game Arena.
Right.
So yeah, the hex map is different. That there's not there's area control with dice as your ships in Beyond the Sun, and so you've got this hex map that people are exploring, spend points to flip over a new tile and all that. But two people can do different things. Like the top thing gets you a special power, and multiple people can go and do the top thing with settlers. And then you need soldiers to do the bottom thing that entitles you to more points usually. And it's all about getting more cubes off your board as well. So it's not as it's not as restrictive. There's still a race that if somebody does the points thing before you, tough luck because you've got to get that many points worth of settlers over to that tile before, and then activate an action at the right time to get all that done. So there could still be like someone getting there before you, but I think the tech tree thing's quite similar. That hey, Rado's here.
Yeah,
I think Rado can tell you about the tech tree differences because I've played just Beyond Horizon and Beyond the Sun base. I haven't played Sun with expansion.
Right. Yeah, just a shout out to some of the people that are watching. Matthew Verdier, who is the designer of Federation, is in the chat. Good evening, Matthew. Board Gaming Ramblings, Johannes and Sonova are here. And Richard's popped in to say hello. So Richard is saying, it's quite good, but I missed the Beyond the Sun advanced mode. So there you go, JP. It looks like this is base Beyond the Sun. But who knows? If this does well, Chronio might put something out
Just
for it.
spoiled. I'm just spoiled with my leaders and powers and things like that. And the expansion does have a solo mode if people are interested. So
right.
Yeah.
And does this have a solo mode then?
No, it does not.
Okay.
There was wild speculation that maybe, in the same way that Beyond the Sun got the solo mode with the expansion, maybe
Leaders of the Old Dawn.
Maybe that's what they're thinking.
Well, I will be having a meeting with Chronio when I see them at Essen, and I will ask the question. I will say, so when's the expansion for Beyond the Horizon coming out with leaders and powers in the solo mode? And I will keep an eye on her eyes, and if she looks up to the left, I can come back and say there's going to be an expansion next year, because that's the telling sign.
That's good to me.
I'll get that information. So, right, where are we up to? That was JP's choice.
Me, yeah.
But Tom,
Hiya. What's next?
What's
I can
next?
talk about a game that I've played.
Yes.
Chronologic.
Right.
Which Paris 1920 is the subtitle that's coming out. It is
See if I
from
can
the
spell it.
designers
No.
with a K.
Yeah, I've got the K. Is it K?
Oh yeah, and no H. Yeah, Krono.
Got
Logic.
it. And it's Paris,
Yes,
or
that's the
Cusco,
first.
or Babylon. There's three of them.
So, yeah, they've got three lined up that I think are going to come out consecutive years, something like that.
No, they're all this year.
Oh, they're all this year.
Well, according to
It's
BGG.
I think there's a bit of a staggered release, but I think
Okay.
the first one might be out or
Yeah, they're all
about to
this
be
year.
out. I
Right.
played it. They had like a French prototype, but it's largely language independent, apart from the big bit of story you need to read. But yeah, it's from the designers of Turing Machine.
Yes.
So if anyone's played that big, lovely, intense logic puzzle game, very abstract, analog computer, plug a card into some things, the punched out holes will tell you whether your guess was right or not on a particular query. So that's maybe for a certain type of person that loves their boring logic puzzles, which I do. And they've thought, how can we get normal people interested in that kind of system?
Right.
And so they've thought murder mystery
Yeah.
and calm down a bit with the analog computer stuff. So in the first one, we're in a theater in Paris in 1920, and I won't spoil like an actual case, but there's a story sets you up why you're there, and in the thing that we played, there's such and such a situation and story. Somebody has been murdered. There was only one point in time in the night when that person was alone with someone else. So that's who killed them.
Right.
And so you've got on your little sheet to the left of the box there, everyone's got a dry wipe sheet. It's got the map 6 times, 6 different people, and there's 6 rooms in the thing. And then in all those tiles in the middle, on your turn, you'll take a location and you can ask it about a person and the location, and it will tell you how many times that person went to that location. You tell everybody that, but in secret, it tells you like when they were at that location.
Right.
Like one of the times specifically. So everybody gets some information every turn to build their case up, but you get a special extra taste to help you work things out. And you can see in the map in more detail that all the rooms are interconnected. Everybody moves every time period. So you can start to build up that, like, okay, this person was on the right-hand side in time 1, but in time 3, they're all the way on the other end. So you know which room they went in the meantime with your deduction powers. And it's like a cool, like, there's no downtime in it because, well, apart from if someone's agonizing over which tiles to pick, but on everybody's turn, you're getting a bit more information until somebody, it's a race to solve it. So it's not cooperative.
Right.
But yeah, you're all building up a bit more of the picture until someone cracks the case. And Cluedo style, I think if you just blurt out a guess and you're wrong,
okay,
you've got to be out because you've had to look at the answer to find out whether it worked or not. But yeah, they've come up with 3 boxes with different themes. I think the same system. I think there's about 5 cases in each one, something like that. Okay. I don't think it's not like Turing Machine that's like infinitely replayable.
Yeah.
But probably easier to convince somebody to play Chronologic with you.
I mean, Graham Charlton's made a good point in the chat. And he said, let's just find it. It's a similar puzzle to Turing Machine, but where Turing Machine is fun to solve but a terrible game, Chronologic has a fun game in there too.
Yeah, I would never try and make people play Turing Machine with me. Right. I'm sure like some people can do it as a competitive game, but I see it as a solo puzzling exercise, which I love it for. But yeah, Chronologic is more appealing. But yeah, if it's a good point as well. If you get it wrong, you're out. So in a 2-player game, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So apologies to everybody watching the stream. I'm just going to talk shop for a minute here. So Tom, you got an early copy of this game?
No, I played a prototype at the expo.
Ah, right. Okay. Do you have a relationship with the publisher?
No. I got invited to have a look around their booth. It's the first time I'd seen them. But the Johan, one of the designers, was there, and he taught us the game. It was great.
Right. I won't pry you for information about the publisher then. So we're on a theme tonight. Yeah, we can make some
gossip.
We're on a theme tonight of games which are really popular and everybody says that it's really good, and Paul's never played. Turing Machine. Never played it. And I love logic puzzles. And
it's also on Board Game Arena, I think.
It is. I've still never played it.
If you're very much into your logic puzzles,
I am.
There's a very high chance you'll enjoy it.
But I scrolled past this game. When I saw that this game was there, and I admit the artwork looked good and everything else, but I scrolled past it. And the reason why I scrolled past it, and I'm just going to look something up on BGG. So the designers of this are Fabian Griedel and Johan Levitt. Right, okay. So there was another game that came out last year, and I can't remember what it was called. And I'm just going to click on the designer's name to see if it's the same designer. No, it's not. Right, there was a game last year, and I can't remember what it was, but it was another logic puzzle deduction game. And I thought it sounded similar to...
I think that might be Johan.
Right, okay.
Well, is it Archaeologic?
That's it.
I haven't played it, but I haven't heard amazing things.
Awful. Right? And really, really didn't like it. And I was really disappointed because I was like, this is from the designers of Turing Machine. Turing Machine is supposed to be really, really good. So I picked this up and me and Vicky played it, and we're like, this isn't even a game. We just really did not get on with it at all.
No.
So I was massively disappointed, at which point, when, and going back to the one we've just talked about, Chronologic, I was like, well, this might be more of the same, so I'll skip past it. However, it seems that I'm wrong. It seems that this is a game that I need to get.
I haven't played that, so I don't know if it's anything like that, but I really enjoyed Chronologic in a kind of wonky demo at the expo that got messed up because somebody said something wrong, which another point in games like that, if somebody misinterprets information, the game breaks.
Yes.
But another thing I was going to say, Rodo said it, that Johan designed, is it Mermes? I forget how to pronounce it. Yeah.
Mermes is amazing.
Yeah. That Ant Colony game.
Yeah. Oh, God, he did. I've still got that.
Oh, yeah. I love all those.
Brilliant game.
Oh, wait a minute. It's had Mermes as well.
I didn't realise that. Yeah, Mermes definitely deserves a reprint. Definitely. Yeah, Mermes is a very good game. I didn't recognise the designer's name there. Interesting. Okay. But anyway, Chronologic. I need to look this up. And in fact, one of the pictures that I just looked at, let's just go back here for Chronologic. One of the pictures was uploaded by Hachette Board Games UK. I may have just dropped Hachette Board Games UK a message and said, please can I has a copy of Chronologic? So there you go. I will let you know what he says. Because if Hachette are going to be, distributing or publishing this in the UK, then yeah, I'll ask for a copy for you as well.
It was at their booth.
Right.
Sounds cool though.
Sounds good.
What JP and Adrian, Turing Machine, played it?
Never played it, but I'm intrigued by it. Like I'd like to try it because I do like logic puzzles. I like that kind of thing. But yeah, it will be a kind of solo experience. So the fact that you've got this as a Cluedo-esque, but with a bit more meat on it, and and set in 1920s kind of era, and a bit of thematics around it. Yeah, no, I'm cool with that. That sounds
I think Vicky's going to like this one.
Yeah,
I was really hoping you were going to say it was cooperative. Like you were talking about it, and I was like, "Come on, co-op!" And then when it's not, I'll still in.
Yeah, it's not, is it?
I still want to drag JP along to a booth and try it, but
we'll do it.
But I was really hoping you were going to say it was cooperative because I was like, that sounds.
Well, it is solo.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if that's just you play it until you find out, or if there's some quirk to that.
Maybe next year's expansion.
We will see. We will see. Right, let's go to another person who's not here this night, and they were going to mention Alte Dawn of Civilization. Anybody heard about this one?
Yeah,
it's on your list.
I don't know anything. I don't know anything about it though. But
okay, right.
Go through the list. I was like, "Ooh, that looks interesting."
Yeah.
Similar thing. That's sort. It's designed by Paolo Mori and a co-designer.
Yes.
That both of their names caught my eye, although I forgot one. Alain Dennis.
Alain Dennis.
Designed he's got Valheim, the board game that he's demoing, Deep Rock Galactic, the board game, and he's done Police Precinct, which is a while ago, but I really like Police Precinct.
So they were demoing this at UK Games Expo. So I one of the things I did at UK Games Expo this year was to meet the guy who's basically in charge of the publisher, Ares Games, and while I was there picking up my copy of War of the Ring, he said, "Oh, come and have a look at this." And he was mid-demo of Alte, and he kind of stopped doing the demo to talk to me about it. And I was like, "You shouldn't do that. You should be running the demo." So I kind of said, "Sorry, I can't stay. I need to disappear." So I was, but yeah, it's because he was in the middle of the demo, and everybody was sat there waiting for him to carry on. And yeah, they were demoing this at UK Games Expo, and it did look interesting. And I hadn't realised, but I think it is going to be coming out at Essen Spiel. So it's on your list, JP, but you're not sure why?
No, I just going through the list like you guys and going, that looks interesting. And again, it's a Civ style game.
It is.
Although actually, the weight's 2. I was like, oh,
is that right?
I don't know I don't know. I don't know if it's a light game.
Yeah, there's not much information. There's no rule book yet.
No, exactly. It's an enigma, this one.
There is an overview. Candice,
deck building.
Board Game Geek, has done an overview video a month ago. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Check
Well,
that out then.
I've heard some gossip that there's too much take that in the game.
oh,
Wait,
was
okay,
The stabby.
I say, like, yeah, that's what I was saying. Care Bear City, but I live there, so well, it might not be one for me
okay,
either.
yeah,
But sounds cool if you're into that.
yeah,
You like your knives? Bring it on.
okay, yeah. That's not my jam either. So yeah, I might wait for JP to have a look at that one and see what he thinks about it.
See what we think. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's Mike. It's on Mike Dennis's list as well. So Mike Dennis is from Ready Steady Play, and as I say, Mike is going with us to Essen this year, but he is on a train to London at the moment. Right, Adrian, what's next on your list?
So this is another one that I don't know that I actually know enough about it to probably be on the list, but I'm going to describe it as my kind of beige Euro. I think
Mhm.
it looks like I'm going to enjoy it. It's Stevens.
Yep.
By Pile Up Games, I think it is.
Yep.
Pile Up Games, or Capstone Games. You are Portuguese glassmakers after the earthquake. Was it earthquake or floods or whatever it was? Or was it? I always forget.
Earthquake
Which
in Lisbon.
earthquake,
The
wasn't
Lisbon
it? Yeah, in
thing,
Lisbon.
yeah.
And it looks language independent. Lots of nice symbology. Looks nice and cleanly done. And they've talked about an action selection mechanism, which, but looking at the player board, I'm guessing that's got something to do with it. But I just thought this it's getting a little bit of buzz from a few people, and I just thought this looks like the kind of Euro that I'd probably have a good few games of and enjoy getting into. And I really like very simple symbology, language independence in these kind of Euro games. So I thought that kind of ticked a lot of boxes for me. Again, don't know enough about it at this point, but it's certainly on my list that I need to go and demo and try it out.
Yeah. There will be a copy in the GridCon library because I am picking up a copy of this from Pile Up Games along with Asian Tigers as well, which nobody's mentioned yet, but I'll mention Asian Tigers. So Rado's in the chat. He says Stevens is quite nice, but somebody at the table needs to be pushing the game forward. He said it's a little bit like Maracaibo. So I'm guessing that, people have a choice of essentially how fast they want to play the game. And if everybody's playing it, I'll move one space and do a thing. And I'll move one space and do a thing. You're going to be there for four hours. Whereas if somebody says, I'm going to move 6 and do a thing, the game's going to last a lot less time. So
He's selling it to me more then, because I like that in games as well, where you're kind of got that sort of like Glenmore or something like that, where you're sort of picking how far you want to get or how far you want to move or whatever. And yeah, I enjoy that. So yeah, selling it to me more.
So this design duo that have done Stevens, which Richard refers to them as roller coaster, which I quite like. It's Costa and Roller, and I know Costa. I've met him a few times. He's a really nice guy. And yeah, Pile Up Games is their studio, and the other game that they've got coming out this year is Asian Tigers. Now, I'm very excited about Asian Tigers, and I'm just going to pull it up on screen if I can find it. Oh, let's just put it in, because I think it's them. I'm pretty sure it's them. It's them that I'm picking up a copy of. And I do have a sponsored playthrough of Asian Tigers coming later this year. I don't have the game yet, so this is Pythagoras. I think I'm getting confused because Costa also works for Pythagoras. He's one of these people who has fingers in a few pies each, So Pythagoras Games are publishing Asian Tigers. Now, the reason why I'm very excited about this is purely the designers. It's Nuno Bizarro Santiero and Paolo Soledad. Before gaming rules existed, right? Before gaming rules was a glint in the corner of my eye one evening, I was playing games from these two. And Nippon, Madeira, these games are just phenomenal games. Now, obviously, I now work in the industry and I've had involvement with some of their games in the past, but these two designers, when they get together, have designed some absolutely fantastic games. Now, they've been away for a number of years for various reasons that are not good reasons, but they're back and they have a new game, Asian Tigers, A Story of Prosperity. And as soon as I saw that they were designing a game together again, I'm like, it just brought back all of those memories from when I, was playing Madeira and then I was playing Nippon. and they've done other games as well, but they're the two that I'm thinking of. Let's just pull up. Yeah, Madeira, Nippon. They was involved in Panamax as well. That was 3 of them. That game never came out, unfortunately. I'm looking at another one. Yeah, it's Nippon and Madeira. They're the 2 main ones that I'm thinking about. So yeah, very, very excited about this one. And yeah, I don't actually know that much about it other than it's got them 2 as designers. So I think it's going to be good. I mean, look at that board. Oh, I need to lie down after that.
It's the right type of beige, right? Like,
It's the right type of beige.
It's the right type
Yeah.
of beige.
Yeah.
Get the beige right. It's moi.
So what about you 3? Any previous history with Madeira or Nippon, or have you
No.
had a look at this one?
I played Madeira a long time ago,
Mm.
but I think it was a bit much for us.
Madeira
Or I didn't like it
is-
as much as the 2-player game.
It's
Like,
heavy.
Panamax was definitely one that I loved the idea of Panamax,
Yeah,
but then when we got a copy and then played it as 2 players, like, oh
Yeah.
no, this doesn't
I can't
feel
see
like
that working really as
the same
2 players.
game at all. But it's
Yeah.
a great idea. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
when
don't
I
think
heard-
I ever played Nippon.
Yeah, when I heard about Asian tigers, I thought it was all about animals.
Yeah, I thought, oh, it's another zoo game.
It's another zoo game. Ugh.
Yeah, so I
And then
don't
I
actually
looked at
know why it's called Asian Tigers. Let's have a look of the.
Is it like 1960s
Yeah.
Japan, China, something like that? I can't remember the theme of it, but it's set in the 60s.
Yeah, 1960s economic success. 4 Asian economies emerged from the pack: South Korea, Taiwan, Singapore, and Hong Kong. So not real tigers, but that's what they were called, Asian tigers. It was.
Yeah.
It's basically
Economic tigers.
economic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do what
It's
they do
cool,
best.
like-
So.
Different.
Mm. Yeah, so I'll be bringing a copy of that home with me. Definitely.
Nice.
That's yeah, I mean I said that what was it I said was probably my most anticipated game, Beyond the Horizon.
Yeah.
It's either that or this one. I don't know.
Mhm.
I think I know more about Beyond the Horizon because it's based on Beyond the Sun and lots of people have told me that's good over the years, whereas nobody's told me that much about this game. But just looking at that, I'm thinking, yeah, this is going to be quite meaty. This is going to be quite involved. So, yep, it will be in the Gridcon library, and I will be doing a sponsored playthrough of it. I can tell you when. I can tell you exactly when I'm going to be doing a sponsored playthrough of it. If you just give us a second.
Weeks away.
It's a few weeks away. Yeah.
It's on the list.
Let me just have a look. Because I was speaking to them a couple of weeks ago, and they said, yep, we're happy to sponsor it. When can you fit it in? They wanted it the first week in November. And I said, I can't do the first week in November because I've already got things booked in. But I'm going to do it on a Sunday. So basically, I'm going to do an extra playthrough that weekend. And it'll be Sunday, the 3rd of November, and I'm going to be doing Asian Tigers. I haven't got any people lined up for that yet. I haven't even asked anybody if they're free. But yeah, excited about that one. Right, it's 9:20, so let's start wrapping things up with our last choices. That was Adrian's, wasn't it? I think.
Yes.
Yes.
It was.
JP.
It'd be me. Yeah,
One
the
more.
last one I've got on my list. I actually had. I was kind of flip flopping on this, but I was going to say Andromeda's Edge, but the fact that it's coming on Kickstarter soon, I'll ignore it because
Oh, okay.
it's not Essen. It's just on its way. So I'll
But
actually
we'll
go
mention
with
it very quickly because Mark
Yeah.
Dainty, good friend of ours from Not Board Gaming, Mark is actually going to be working at the Lucky
He
Duck
is.
Games booth, and he's going to be demoing Andromeda's Edge. My deluxe copy of it arrived last week, and I did an unboxing video of it, and it looks amazing. So it is going to be there. It is going to be at the show.
Yeah, production on that is insane.
It is insane.
But I can't wait to get my copy of it. But no, I actually want to talk about Shackleton Base.
Yes. I'm glad you did, so that I don't have to.
Yeah, let's get it in. Again, I don't know loads about it, so Paul, you're going to have to kind of fill in the
I
very
can.
large gap of my knowledge on this game because I know you've been playing it. But
Yeah.
again, space, space stuff.
Sort of space.
It's all about building stuff on the moon and
Yeah.
doing projects, working for corporations and things like that. But yeah, I mean, bring it to life for me. But it looks cool.
Yeah.
And so I'm intrigued to try it for sure.
So I heard about this game back at UK Games Expo, and the 2 designers are Fabio Lopiano, fantastic designer, has
Yeah.
done really good games. Nestor Mangone, excellent designer, done some really good games. and they're getting together with Sorry We Are French, and they're doing Shackleton Base. So I first played this game. I got an early copy of it, and I first played it at Manacon, which is UK convention back in, when was it? July? Middle of July, I think it was. Manacon is a 4-day convention. It runs Friday noon till Monday noon. It's a bit unusual, but what that basically means is that the Monday morning we all get to play a game, and then we disappear back off home. And the game that we played on the Monday after 3 days of solid gaming was Shackleton Base, and we learnt how to play it from the rulebook, and then we played it. And I think 2 of the people around the table said that it was the best game they'd played that weekend. It was good. It was good, and we learnt how to play it from the rulebook. We had a couple of queries that we got answers on because I had a hotline to the developer, and yeah, since then I've played it 3-4 more times, and I did a live stream of it last Friday, and yeah, it is very good. It's quite meaty, but it's one of those games where it is heavy. There is a lot going on. But once you've explained it and once you've played the first round, everybody feels lost for the first round. It's 3 rounds, and everybody just feels lost. But after the first round, you're like, okay, now I get it. I see where it's going here. But there's a lot of very clever stuff going on in that game. And yeah.
One of the things I have learned about it is that I think you choose a corporation at the start, right? And
you choose 3.
Use 3, okay. And
3
then
out
they
of 7.
inject. Yeah, they inject their own projects and own things, so it basically varies the game up each time. So that was quite interesting. Yeah,
there are 7 different corporations included in the game, and you choose 3 of them for your game. And there's some recommended setups in the game. So I've played 5 games of it with the same 3 corporations.
Okay.
And I would happily play a game with those 3 corporations. It's not like, okay, I've played with that set, tick, done, move on. It's not that. Yeah. It's just, I'm very keen to play with some of the other corporations, but this one is going to be in the GridCon library. I suspect, because we have about between 6 and 8 games in what we class as the GridCon Hot Games library, which are permanently set up. What games go in the Hot Games library is voted on by attendees ahead of time, but I suspect this one might be in the Hot Games library because it is well deserved. It is getting a lot of buzz, and this is the game that's actually out in the UK. It came out last week in the UK, so other people have been getting it and playing it as well. Curious to see if you've been interested in this one, Tom.
Yeah, big moon game.
Okay,
that's about all I know. Fabio Lipiano, Nesto Manjo. Done a big moon game. Looking forward to it at Essen.
Yeah,
that was mainly the brief at the expo. Well, fair enough. Sounds good. Sounds good to me. I'll give it a go. But yeah, apparently you can steal somebody's worker. I'd probably play it solo anyway. Anything that gets kind of into the higher weight anyway, I'd probably be playing solo.
Yeah, I've not tried the solo mode for this. There is a solo mode included in it, but let me just explain that part of the game because it isn't stealing somebody else's worker really. What you've got is you've got a circular board, which is the crater, and one of the actions that you can do in the game is you get 6 workers each turn. Don't think of them as they are your workers. They are not your workers. You get these 6 astronauts, and you use those 6 astronauts on the board to take actions. But they are not your astronauts. You will not get those astronauts back. It is basically, here's 6 people that are going to work for you this turn, but they're not yours. Right? But one of the things that you can do with those people is that you can put them around the outside of the crater to activate the crater. That's one of the main parts of the game, is that you put them around the edge of the crater and then they activate all of the sectors in that particular row.
I see, yeah.
And at the end of the round, you look at that row, and whoever has the largest total size of buildings will actually gain that astronaut and put them into their base. So it is something that you want to take into account, is that if you put it on a certain place, you're like, well, I've got the most buildings on that base, so I'm actually going to put it, I'm going to get the benefit, and at the end of the round, I'm actually going to get that worker as well. But then if somebody else comes along and builds a bigger building in that row, they will get the worker at the end of the game. They will get the worker at the end of the round. But I personally don't think it's stealing each other's workers, because as I say, the 6 that you get, they're just your 6 resources that you use that turn, and don't think of them as yours because they're not really yours. But yeah, it's good, very good. Right, one more, Tom.
Oh, yeah.
It's you, isn't it? Yeah. What's your last one?
Yeah. Well, I don't know where this would have been because I've already played it, but I
Okay.
want to talk about Saltfjord
Yes.
because it's great. And Rado's in the chat, and I want to see caps and exclamation marks.
Because it's Rado's
Getting
number one game from Essen.
Yeah. But yeah, it's if you've played Santa Maria in the past and enjoyed that, it's bits of Santa Maria, and there's more new bits. But a lot that you enjoyed in Santa Maria is back again with a different theme that you
With
might
a different
find
theme. Yes.
easier to get to the table. Weren't thinking so much about that back then.
We're
But,
in Norway
hey,
on fishing boats.
Yes. Don't forget everything you have heard about puzzly row and column activators.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's dice drafting mainly. You can draft white dice. They will activate columns of your board. Orange dice will activate rows of your board. You start out with it fairly empty. The dice will stop at every action. Like you go down a column, every bit where it's get resources, build something, ship something. The dice will stop off, do the thing in that order, and then they'll rest at the bottom or end of that row or column, blocking that space for the rest of the round. So you'll build new things, giving you more activations, filling in rows and things gets you bonuses, and you're trying to use all of those actions to get tech, get special abilities, go fishing, load up your boat with stuff, ship resources off that will give you more activations at the end of a round, and you can get wagons and stuff if you want to play advanced mode, which is great as well. I think that was was that in the expansion of Santa Maria? Wherever it was, it's in Saltfjord now. And it works great there as well, because if you've got your wagons on, your wagon starts in the top left corner, and if you activate a row or column where the wagon is, it has to shift out the way first, and if it lands on an action, it activates that action. So it makes it even more puzzly, and you can get a load of points if you get it all the way down your board, like into the bottom right corner. It's great. I'm excited. I've played it, and I'm anticipating the next play. I'm excited. There's a playthrough, right? I did a playthrough. Yeah.
You've done a playthrough.
I can't remember a few weeks ago, but I did it.
Yeah, I haven't done a playthrough. I have played it. It was on day 4. There's a theme here. It was on day 4 of a 4-day gaming event that I ran at my house. And this was the last game that we played. And we learnt it from the rulebook. And then we played a 2-player game of it. And then Stevie went back. It's from Porta Games. I have a good relationship with the Porta Games. They actually gave me 3 copies of this game, which arrived a few weeks ago. One was for me, and the other 2 are for the GridCon charity raffle. So a big thank you to Porta Games. But Porta Games have been doing great games for years. And their rulebooks are always really good. So we learned how to play from the rulebook, and we played it. I'm not going to go out and say it's the best game for Messen. It was a really good game. I have only played it at 2-player, and I do want to play it again. And the dice system, the little mini puzzle game that you've got to play is really good. So yeah, I would class it as a light to medium game. Personally, it wasn't that complicated. Interesting decision space on what you have to do, but the actual rules overhead is not that complicated at all. And it's listed as a 45 to 90 minute playtime, which I think is about right.
Yeah, I'd say I've only played it 2-player and solo.
Right.
And like learning it and playing it 2-player probably didn't take much longer than an hour.
Yeah, same with us.
Like, even though you're agonizing over your puzzle and stuff, it's you've got 3 rounds to do everything in.
Yeah.
And you'll draft increasing numbers of dice, and maybe you'll get a bonus build action or place a worker to activate an extra building, but generally you're very limited in your actions, so you got to make the most out of them.
Yeah. JP and Adrian, ever played Santa Maria?
No.
Nope, I never did either, but I heard really good things about it, apart from the questionable theme.
Right.
So
the algorithm after AI kicked up Rado's playthrough of this, and I watched it, and I did think it's one I probably need to give a go, because I feel like experiencing the puzzle is it's probably one of those where YouTube doesn't, or a video doesn't quite give it the full props for the puzzle.
Yeah.
And you probably need to experience it a little bit. So yeah, definitely one on my list. But that's thanks to YouTube algorithms and Rado's channel.
Yes, but this is one that you could go and get a demo of at Essen and sit down and get the 10-minute teach, and then play a game in like an hour, rather than say Civolution, where, you might sit for an hour listening to the rules and then a 5-hour game or something like that. This is a perfectly good game for getting a demo of it at Essen.
Mm-hmm.
So, right. Well, we've been through everybody's choices. I'm just going to quickly run through my list to mention some other ones. I'm going to be working for Dranda Games at Essen, and Aidan from Dranda Games threatened to reduce my Jaffa Cake allowance if I didn't mention Explorers of Navoria. So Explorers of Navoria, which I have covered on my channel, and Tom, I think you've covered it as well.
Yeah, I did a playthrough.
And it's really good.
Crowdfunding, yes. I really enjoyed it, and it's beautiful as well.
It is beautiful, and it's out at Essen. So Explorers of Navoria is actually a game from quite a few years ago, but was only released, I think, maybe in China. Very, very small publication, very small number of copies. And Dranda Games saw it and said, "This looks really good. We want to take this on." So this is the big release of it, and it is going to be available at Essen. And what's interesting about this is that there is the base game Explorers of Navoria, and then there's an expansion for it. And the base game is family weight. And I have played this game with people who were not big gamers, and it says on the box 20 to 80 minutes, and it's about right, and it's a really nice card play mechanism and moving things around, and it's just really nice. And then you add the expansion, and suddenly it turns it into a gamer's game. So you've actually, if you were to back it and get the expansion, you've got the family version of the game, and it's not actually that many more rules, but suddenly you're like, oh, wait a minute, this just like doubles the depth of the game just by adding some extra bits in. So yeah, it looks great. It plays really nice. Again, fairly low rules overhead, but with interesting decisions in the game. And I like the family weight game. I don't have a problem with playing lighter games these days. So yeah, that was quite good. Anybody else got their eye on this one other than Tom, because you've already played it?
No, not really. Like I say, did you have this? Were you playing this earlier in the year?
Yes.
Or did I just imagine that?
No, I had it. I took it to Full Board Gaming, and that was in February.
Right.
So yeah, I've had it for a while. I don't have it now because I think that I had to send it back to them because they needed it for something else. But yeah.
Yeah, I know it looked cool when I saw it on the table. But yeah, I like not pass me by because it's here. It's Essen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think at that time I didn't really know what it was. I just thought, oh, that looks nice.
Yeah.
But now I'll check it out.
So I'm just going to go down my list now quickly. So we got the Gaia Project expansion. None of us have talked about it, but if you like Gaia Project, finally, after many, many, many years, there's an expansion for that coming out. There's this. There's the new Vladimir Suhi game, which I'm surprised none of us have mentioned. Was it somewhere on your list, Tom?
It's in my awkward list that's in a separate top 5 of games that I'd played. But yeah, any Sushi game. You can see my playthrough of the solo mode.
Oh, you've done a playthrough of it, right? Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit of a lighter. Well, not like compared to Underwater Cities Evacuation something. It's a bit of a lighter one, but I really enjoyed it.
And I think Board Gaming Ramblings has also done a playthrough, or certainly a review of it as well, which I haven't looked at. But I'm going to be picking a copy of that up because I've got a good relationship with them, and we'll see that. There's another game from PD Verlag, which is Mac Gertz, coming out. If anybody's fans of his, I can't even remember what it's called.
A 7 in it?
There's a 7 in it. I'm looking up Imperial.
It looked like Maps the game.
Yes. And I'm going to Mac Gertz. And where is it? Somebody in the chat will probably tell me the answer of it. 7 Empires. So it's a Mac Gertz game. It's from PD Verlag. I've got a good relationship with the publisher, so I don't know much about the game, but I'm probably going to be getting a copy of it, and I'll see what it's like. Yeah, I don't know. 7 Empires. It could be. I don't know. I'm not going to guess at that one. But there's that one that I'm looking forward to. I'm picking up a game called Galaxy Postman that I'm guessing most people haven't heard of. But this is a game that was a successful Kickstarter, and it's a pick up and deliver game in space. Now, the story behind my excitement about this game is that when I started getting into board games in the late 80s and early 90s, there was an old classic game called Merchants of Venus, which is a pick up and deliver game. Fantasy Flight Games picked up the license to it and redid it many, many, many years later. But I have an original copy of Merchant of Venus. I've always loved pick up and deliver as a mechanism. And this game looks like what I wanted Zia to be, but with less randomness. So I contacted the designer of it, and he said, "Yep, I'll happily pass a copy of this on to you." So yeah, quite excited about that. And just going down my list, what have we got next? We've got that. I mentioned Tea Garden already. We've talked about Power Grid Outpost. I think that might be it. The rest of them are all publishers that I'm just going to say. Oh, Orienberger Canal. Tom, you mentioned this earlier on. You like that game, don't you?
Yes, and people can buy it now.
People can buy it
it's just called Canal.
It's called Canal. So yeah. So the original version of the game was Spielworks, and Spielworks always do just like low quantity games, but then quite often they will then pass the license on to another publisher, and another publisher has picked it up. I heard loads of good things about this game, but it is one that passed me by. It's only last year. It feels like longer ago, but yeah, this is and I've contacted the new publisher of the game, and they've said, yes, we'll happily get you a copy of it. So I don't know why it's not coming up. I've clicked on it, but yeah, Canal is the...
If you go in, there's a picture of it in the middle there, and the little images roll.
There. Right. Okay. So it's still under the same BGG heading.
I think
right.
Like new. I don't know if there's new art inside. I haven't actually looked at.
I think there is.
Pictures.
Yeah. So Silex is the new publisher, but with Spielworks still on there. So it's the new version is called Canal.
Yeah.
And it's graphically it's different, but I think the game is still the same. And yeah, based on the people that I know that got Orienberger Canal and said, Paul, you need to try this game because I'm a Uwe Rosenberg fan. It is really good. That I thought, okay, well, I missed out on the original one, so let's look into the new one. So yeah, lots of new exciting games. So yeah, right. Now, another two people that were going to be here tonight but can't be with us tonight. Luke Hector from the Broken Meeple. Luke has already done his own list. So if you want to see what I think Luke's getting on a ferry tonight. So, yeah, Luke's done his own list. That's on his channel. And also Mark Monk from Ninja Geek Games. Mark was going to be joining us tonight, but he runs a kickboxing class on a Monday night. So he can't be with us, but he uploaded his video earlier on today of the games that he's looking forward to. So if I get around to it before I go to bed tonight, I might link those in the description of this video. But let's just have a quick look at the chat and see what everybody else is saying. Canal is great. He's less yellow than Orienberg. Yeah, he's less yellow. There you go.
That's what I remember. Very yellow.
Rado says he wishes the Canal, the new edition, would have gotten text on the cards so that Jen will play it with him. Okay, so...
It's very symbol-y.
It's very symbol-y, is it? Okay.
You can see from that picture there. Like it's got a little... I think it had little booklets to help you make sense of it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's very...
It's a bit symbol-heavy.
Yeah, it's very language independent, but for a very symbol heavy game.
Right.
So it's
yeah, and am I right in thinking that it's a 2-player game only?
Yeah, one or 2 player.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling up through the. If you guys want to just chat about something while I start scrolling through the chat, just to see if I've missed anything.
Well, we had Davey's list.
Oh yes,
as well,
go for it. Go through that.
Civolution. It's a 2-game list. So kept it simple. But Civolution was the top, and then the next one was, and again, I don't know if this is released or not. I haven't done enough research on it. But Avatar: Aang's Destiny, which is a re-implementation, or from the same people at least who did the Hogwarts battle from the
Oh yeah.
And they've done another kind of deck buildery game around Avatar, the anime.
I was in The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
Looks like it's next year.
Is it next year?
Yeah, there's Avatar, the Journey of Aang.
So, yeah, so he was quite excited about that. I know that much.
Cool. Jeremy Howard was in the chat earlier on. I don't know if Jeremy is still here, but hope to see you at the show, Jeremy, if you are going. He said he's checking out Age of Automation and Galaxy Postman. There you go. Another person who's heard about Galaxy Postman.
2 thumbs for the postman.
It made it
Yeah.
on someone's top 10 list, definitely. Someone else's top 10 list, the Galaxy Postman, because I remember hearing about it before. So it's definitely been on a top 10 list I've watched recently.
I'm just looking up Age of Automation, and my BGG is playing. What's it doing? Age of...
It's not Age of Automation, it's Age of Automatons?
No, I thought that. I would like to shout out the new Kraftwagen, because old Kraftwagen was amazing.
Yeah, I am getting a copy of the new Kraftwagen, and I'm covering it on the channel later this year. Age of Automaton, 2024.
Yeah,
Never heard of this one. Never heard of this one at all.
Neither.
But it's on Jeremy's list. Jeremy has very good taste in games.
He does.
So there you go.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Do you want to make a note of that one and see if you get a chance to find out anything before? I mean, I don't even know the publisher. Not heard of the designer. Not heard of the publisher. 4 Game. So thank you, Jeremy, for highlighting that one. Because every year people say, oh, what are the hidden gems? And the problem that I have with Essen now is that because it's all work for me, I don't get any opportunity to walk around the halls and see things that I wouldn't normally see. This might be, I mean, Jeremy's pointed this out, but this might be one of those really good games from a designer and publisher that, you know, isn't one of the big publishers, no disrespect intended, that might be an amazing game. And we just don't know it, and it doesn't get the attention that it deserves. So yeah, we will find out. What else have we got? I think that's Jeremy Howard says, buy it or it's gone. Oh, Bone Wars. Yeah, so unfortunately, the publisher of Bone Wars, Game Brewer, is closing their doors, but they are coming to Essen for one final time, and they are selling their remaining stock. So it's always sad when a publisher disappears, but it's nice that they're giving themselves a proper send-off. They're not just like, look, we're closing, that's it, sorry, bye. They're actually closing, but they're going to Essen for one final time. So yeah, if you want anything from Game Brewer, and they have done some really good games in the past, then definitely check out that. I think they're doing quite a big discount. I've not played Bone Wars myself, but I have heard good things about it.
And they've got Algae?
Algae is one of theirs as well.
I've heard good things about that. I'd be interested to see
they
what
they did Stroganoff as well. They've done a few of them. So
quite a few,
yeah. Right. Well, I think that's it. It's 9:45. I better go and pack. I've done my socks, so my socks are all right, but yeah, everything else still needs to be packed. I'm leaving on a train tomorrow morning from Tiverton Parkway at 9:30 in the morning, and it gets me into Essen at about 11 o'clock tomorrow night. And then I've got to find the hotel, because I'm staying at a different hotel this year. So yeah, that'll be fun. When are you guys getting there?
Wednesday morning at some point.
Okay.
Flying early on Wednesday morning, I think.
Right. Okay. And
So
are you going to be getting access, Tom, on the Wednesday or not?
Well, there's some kind of the special downstairs room with all the tables is now manned, right? It's only going to be on the Wednesday, but it's manned now.
Yes.
Because I haven't been since 2019, so it could all be completely different as far as I know. But I should be there for that.
Right. Yeah. I will be in the main halls on the Wednesday. That's the best day for me to actually just go and see people and say hello before it just gets crazy busy on the Thursday.
You'd be able to walk around with no drama.
Yeah. And when are you two getting there?
Yeah, we're flying Wednesday afternoon, so we'll kind of be there Wednesday late afternoon, early evening kind of time. Yeah. Okay. So we'll miss all the fun and games on the Wednesday, unfortunately, but we'll be there ready to rock for the evening, and then go for it Thursday morning.
Cool. And if anybody who is watching this is going to Essen, then and you want to come and meet us and tell us what games you've been playing, we will all be at the Meet and Play event, which is happening at, well, I think it starts at 2:00. We're going to be there from 3. So I'm going to be there from 3 till 5. You guys are going to be there at 3:00 as well. And it's actually held within the Essen Spiel, the Messe itself. It's just in one of the private rooms outside of Hall 3. You don't need any
You're
kind
very
of special
sorry.
pass to get in. You need your normal pass. And it's a room where there's going to be lots and lots of other content creators. Yeah, People University are going to be there. Board Game Ramblers are going to be there. I think Jeremy's going to be there from Man vs. Me. I think Jeremy's getting there quite late, but there's going to be lots of other content creators as well that are there. And it's a good opportunity to come along, say hello, give us all some biscuits, feed us, and tell us what games you've been playing for the weekend. Because, so people ask me, they say, oh, what games have you played today? And I'm like, well, I've demoed Galactic Cruise 4 times, and that's it. And then I've come here.
Yeah.
So...
Right. Last minute off the radar, Rodo says there are 2 different games based on 1984 coming out at Essen from different publishers that are both roll and write games or X and write games.
Okay, as in 1984, the book,
the George Orwell.
Okay,
never mind. Thomas Howlett coming out with 3 games in 1 year. This is surely this isn't even stranger thing.
2 games based on 1984 from different publishers that are both roll and write. Is this like what happened with Armageddon and Deep Impact?
Yeah.
Where 2 guys were sat in a pub and went, oh, I've got an idea, and then they both went their separate ways, and then...
Yeah, I've got a script.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Right, let's wrap things up. Thank you very much to you 3 for joining me this evening.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And thank you to everybody watching. Thank you to everybody for keeping us company. This is not a sponsored video. All of the advertising revenue from this video goes to charity. So a big thank you to all of my patron supporters for funding the channel and keeping me going. And if you want to support me directly, you can do so at patreon.com/gaming rules. This is it for me. I'm not doing any Essen diaries this year, so no more videos for me. I will be back in the UK very late on Monday night. That does not mean you can come around and steal my copy of Elder Scrolls. Just telling you, there won't be any more content coming from me until I get back. But then, when I do get back, the first stream that I will be doing is a live playthrough of Mutagen from Dranda Games. They will be demoing that at Essen. It's not out yet, but yeah, I think that's Friday the 11th of October. Let me just check the diary. Friday the 11th of October. That'll be the first live stream when I get back, and that will be Mutagen from Dranda Games, which they are launching a Kickstarter for it, I think the week after, which is why we're doing it that week. But anyway, thanks again to everybody for joining us tonight, and we'll see you all next time. Cheers all. Bye-bye.
Bye.